Hey there, I'm Adrienne. Welcome back to Better Days Start Today. Today, we are talking about the idea of overthinking versus underlistening. I invite you to consider the idea that you're not thinking too much, you're just not listening deeply enough to yourself. I believe that quiet part of you, that inner wisdom, that intuition, already knows the answer. Sometimes it's just really difficult to listen to what it is. I want to talk about this. And this is something I've lived myself. You are in your head and you're spinning. You've journaled. You've talked to your 3 best friends. You've made a pros cons list. And still, you don't feel any closer to having the answer, to having clarity, to having the next right step. So you start wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? Why do I keep overthinking everything? And this is where I'm offering, you're not overthinking, you are underlistening. And if you can make that shift, if you can go from overthinking to the idea of underlistening, that can change everything. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what underlistening looks like. And we're going to talk about how to hear yourself, different ways to do that. And I've got something that I think could be really helpful for you. So I want to get into it. The reason that the shift from I'm overthinking to I'm underlistening is so powerful is because language shapes our experience. When you're vocalizing your thoughts out loud, you're describing your experience and you're believing yourself. So if you're saying, I'm overthinking, that feels like you're at an impasse. It feels like no matter how much thinking you do, you're still going to be stuck. You're not going to figure it out. That's not a good feeling. To feel like you're just never going to figure it out. You're spinning your wheels, you're stuck. But if you tell yourself that you're underlistening, that's empowering. It means that the answer is already there. It's not that you're lost. It's just that you haven't made the space to hear yourself yet. Rather than thinking, the answer is out there somewhere, and I can't figure it out. Can't think my way to it. That feels bad. Like that feels disempowering. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you're in that headspace. But when you can remind yourself, I'm underlistening, it reminds you that the answer's within. You have it. You know the right thing for you. Even if you can't articulate it yet, you know. You just have to make space for that answer. So underlistening. You might be underlistening if you're waiting for the elusive clarity before you make your move. You keep asking for advice, but you feel more confused after, right? You're polling your friends because maybe this one will tell you the thing that you want to hear. What I've come to realize is you keep feeling resistance after you ask your friends, after you poll the audience, because their answer may be the logical right choice, but what is right and aligned for us doesn't always meet that logical criteria. Sometimes it's not the thing that makes sense on paper that's the right thing for us. So you ask for advice, everyone jumps to the obvious, and rather than being like, oh, of course, Susan said this, gotta be right, and you go with it, you're like, Susan said this, but ... and then you're back in the thought loop. The thing is, you know what's right for you. You especially know when somebody points out the answer and it doesn't feel like the right answer. Okay, so you know that's not the answer, so why are you trying to choose between that and something else? It's because probably whatever you're leaning towards is uncomfortable. It's going to create discomfort in the short term, which is challenging to do because you know you're about to be in it, even though you know it might create clarity and peace and knowing and happiness and joy and all those good feelings in the long term. But we hesitate because we know in the short term, it's uncomfortable. But let's go back to what underlistening looks like. You avoid silence because it feels uncomfortable. I'm somebody that loves my alone time. I do my walks and my runs, usually without headphones, no outside inputs, just me out on the roads. But I have found myself in times where I have to make a decision, and I do everything I can to fill up that space so I don't have to hear myself think, so I don't have to go over it again, so I don't allow the uncomfortable truth to bubble up. So I have the TV on in the background. I've got music playing. I'm listening to a podcast. Basically, I don't allow that space of quiet. I know I'm not the only one that has been there. I know that I'm not. We think, okay, if we just kind of like drown ourselves out, we'll figure it out. But yet you find yourself looping right back to it once the noise isn't filled anymore. So you're underlistening, probably if you're just trying to avoid that silence because it feels uncomfortable. Another one, you journal, but you're just skimming the surface. You're doing that brain dump, you're doing the stream of consciousness riding, you're letting it all out, but you're not really examining any of it. You're not questioning why you feel the way that you do. You're not considering the bodily sensations, the tightness in your chest when you picture that outcome, the butterflies in your stomach when you picture that outcome. You're not going there, you're just writing it all down. And sometimes getting the noise out of your head onto paper is enough, but sometimes it's just another way of spinning in place without taking that next step into the decision point. So maybe you're journaling over and over and over again. You find yourself day after day after day returning to the same thing, probably underlistening. This next one of my favorites. You think more data will help, but you're drowning yourself in it. Anybody else, right? You're like, if I look this up, if I find that obscure study from 1993, if I gather all these facts, the answer will be obvious. If I take this course, if I ... go to Google 27,000 more times, then that information will make the decision so obvious. When you're doing this, having information is great. Having background, educating yourself on something, fantastic. But when you just keep going back to gather more information, thinking that next bit of information is going to be the thing that helps you make the decision, you're kidding yourself. And I've been there. I've been there with all of these, the waiting for the clarity, asking for advice, avoiding silence, journaling but skimming the surface, thinking more data will help. I have done all of those things. But as we all know, clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from slowing down enough to hear what you already know. When we keep circling back, trying to make all the sense in the world so we can make the decision, chances are whatever that is going to, in the near term, be uncomfortable. So we're trying to logic our way to something that feels better, but sometimes the uncomfortable, difficult thing is the right thing. I don't know about you, but when I get in these mental loops and I'm thinking and I'm going around and around and I'm trying to figure it out, I'm trying to logic my way into whatever decision I'm doing, I feel exhausted afterwards. If you don't realize that you're stuck in like a thought spiral, the fact that you feel drained after you continue to return to these thoughts, that's an indicator. That is an indicator you're not listening to yourself. You're going into that overthinking trap, which is really just you trying to logic your way out of what your intuition is probably telling you. One thing that comes to mind for me, I bought the domain for my website with my name, adriancrowley.com, in 2016. I knew I wanted to have my own business. I knew that I wanted to do something around coaching, personal development, working with people while they figure their thing out. I knew that I wanted to take women on trips and adventures that would crack them wide open and change their lives. Like, I knew this in 2016. So I got into law enforcement in 2010. By 2016, I knew 100%, without a doubt, all the experiences I had in my career to that point, that I wanted to do something different and something more empowering, something more freeing, something that felt like mine. So 2016, I buy the domain and I'm like, I'm going to do this. But then, of course, I'm like, oh, I've never had a business before. I don't know how to do that. So then I get my MBA. Because if I go to school and learn how to create a business, then I'll feel more comfortable about leaving my stable career to start a business. Wrong. I mean, I absolutely love school and I loved the process of getting my MBA, and I did a travel course in China and met some incredible people. And again, fantastic experience, but it still didn't make the decision point of leaving my career to build my own thing any easier. And all this time, journaling about it, how this career doesn't feel right, how I know I want to do my own thing. And I'm fooling myself into thinking when this thing happens, then it will be my time to walk away. Or when I get to this point, then it will be my time to walk away. When I save up this much money, it'll be my time to walk away. When I feel this way, then that's it. That's the point. That's the point where I leave. No, I knew. There was no, all of a sudden I'm going to arrive at the place where it's like, it's time to do this. No, I knew the answer. I had to do the thing until I couldn't do it anymore. And then the only answer was leaving and doing my own thing. But all of the stuff that I was doing wasn't getting me into action, into a place of decision point. I was just staying stuck, literally for years, avoiding the hard decision because I knew in the near term that decision was going to be really uncomfortable. I had to figure out a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know how to do. I had to bet on myself. And all of it was on me. There was no just going to my place of work, doing my job. Somebody else was responsible for paying me. All of it suddenly became in my control, to some extent anyways, my responsibility at least. And that felt uncomfortable. So I kept thinking, well, I don't have enough information to make the decision. I fill in the blank with all the things I told myself. The thing was, I had everything I needed to make the decision. I was just too afraid to make it. And that's one of those things that helped me realize that when you're trying to force the answer, you probably already know what it is. You're just afraid to trust it. You're afraid to act on it. The only way we come to that knowing, though, is by getting quiet, getting out of our head, and trusting our intuition, knowing that that inner knowing is correct. Even if it's scary, even if it's unfamiliar. So I created a workshop, Clarity Without Overthinking. It's 90 minutes to quiet the noise, hear your inner wisdom, and move forward with AI as your thinking partner. This isn't a strategy call. This is not where I'm going to be like, do this and give you all the answers. Because you already have the answers. It's not more information. It's space. It's space to reflect, space to listen, space to meet yourself again. And you're going to use AI as a thinking partner, not as your fixer, not telling you what to do. It's going to help you make sense of the thoughts in your head, the feelings in your body, help you consider some angles you may not have considered yet, and it's going to get you in action. So I'll guide you through some powerful prompts. We'll do some real-time reflection, and I'm going to give you practices that will help you long after our session together. If this landed for you, if you're somebody that's craving more clarity, I would love for you to join me. Clarity Without Overthinking. It's the 90-minute guided experience. You're going to quiet the noise, reconnect with your inner wisdom, and move forward using AI as your thinking partner. I want you to head to the link in the show notes to save your spot. It's just www.adriancrowley.com/workshops. And that'll be in the show notes or the episode description. Click on it, save your spot. It's April 26th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. I would love it if you join me. You're going to get so much out of this. And for signing up, you're also going to get a bonus AI prompt pack that will give you a ton of prompts that you can work with for your own personal development, to figure out how to trust yourself, make decisions. Just a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of different topics that you can use them for. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to start listening. And this workshop is an amazing place to begin. So before we go, I just want to leave you with a question. What have you been trying to think your way through? That might shift if you simply got quiet enough to listen. As I said, what have you been trying to think your way through? If I said that and something came to mind, a situation, a feeling, a circumstance in your life, something popped into your head, then this workshop is for you. It will help you. I promise you. I just want to remind you, you're not broken. You are not behind. Maybe you just need to listen to yourself a little bit more. And that is something we can change. I hope you have an amazing week. Follow the show if you haven't already so you can catch the next episode. Share it with a friend if you think they need this message. And thank you so much for listening. Until next time. Thanks so much for spending time with me on Better Days Start Today. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review. It helps more people find this space and start creating their better days too. And hey, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at adriancrowley.com. You'll get exclusive tips, tools, and access to complimentary events designed to support you every step of the way. Until next time, remember, your better days, they start today.